cheaper, so it's much more viable as a non-all-in strategy.
And we are going straight into the next game, which is Daybreak.
Daybreak it is. Apparently, PalaDiN used to match eNtitY on the ladder 2 years ago when he was playing a ton, according to Tenant in chat. So we jump into the game now. We switched colors again.
Yep.
In the lower left corner, we've got the blue player. It is eNtitY, up 1-0.
And in the top right, the frustrated Protoss in the red trunks, PalaDiN.
There's my Facebook. Enjoy that, everybody. Switch eNtitY's color here to blue. So now as we go into this game, I'm not sure what exactly we're going to see. It could be something the same. It could be... I really do expect to see DTs out of someone at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the PvP matchup is just... that just happens a lot these days. Haven't really seen many Stargates out of these two, so maybe that's a little less likely. Definitely Twilight Tech. They like their blink. They both definitely like their blink.
And on Daybreak in the past, we have seen proxy Stargates go down to get some fast oracles out.
Proxy Stargates are always fun right here, but it's a little bit harder in PvP because that Mothership Core can easily swoop around to see what's going on, but most people, it seems like in these games at least, have been keeping their Mothership Core either close to home or sending it directly into their opponent's base. The downside is that spot where you can put your Proxy Stargate is sort of right in that path, so you could always put it down here, I suppose, not that much farther. eNtitY is sending a probe a unusual path, possibly checking for pylons over to his opponent's base. PalaDiN sending the same out. They are going to headbutt as they both cross the corner here. Gosh, that pizza smells amazing.
But we must resist.
The game must go on.
That's right. StarCraft more important than pizza.
Maybe everyone will grab their pizza, sit down, and check out some StarCraft today. PalaDiN moving into eNtity's base to see what's going on there is a Cybernetics Core and a Gateway cranking out a Zealot. Pretty similar look in PalaDiN's base with a second Gateway going down. 2 gas, 2 workers in each gas, same as last game. eNtity is going with 1 gas. Warp Gate Research going down right away as soon as that Cybercore finishes, and the Chrono Boosted Stalker. Usually when eNtity does this, he wants to make some kind of sort of aggressive push, if for nothing else than to just poke in and see what's going on. The pylon is going down at the 3rd base for eNtity, so this is definitely going to be a push for him. Very typical of him. They don't always work, but it just lets his opponent know that he's there.
eNtity does like to be aggressive.
Probe taken out at the West Watchtower by a Zealot of eNtity. Warp Gate now about a 1/3 done. Robotics facility coming up from eNtity as well. The Robo is actually going down in a proxy location.
Interesting. So it's possible he's going to try and get out some Immortals from there.
Either that, or I wonder if he may be possibly going for a proxy Warp Gate. Or a Warp Prism, sorry. We will soon find out. PalaDiN now putting his Mothership Core out into the field to see what it can do to help him stay alive. 3 Stalkers coming out to... This is going to have a probe issue here for eNtity. That's going to hinder... He likes to bring that probe with his Stalker and Zealot to put that pylon up towards the natural.
That Stalker taking significant hull damage down to 10 HP. PalaDiN's going to chase it down, try and kill it. He does get it.
We're going to see what comes out of this Robo facility here. It is going to be a Warp Prism. Zealot of eNtity coming back up in to see what's going on, but it looks like PalaDiN is pushing out. This could be a rough spot for him if this Warp Prism comes out and goes up here. The Warp Gate tech for PalaDiN is a little bit behind eNtity's. Chrono boosting it out. It's about 5 seconds from being completed. 2 Gateways are in process of producing Stalkers. The Warp Gate's going to finish before those are done, so he's going to be a little bit delayed in opening his Warp Gates, which actually could be helpful if this Warp Prism comes up.
PalaDiN briefly goes into eNtitY's base, but immediately turns around.
Warps in 2 Stalkers, 2 Zealots, loads them into the Warp Prism, moves up into the base. He's going to drop those and then warp in more, but PalaDiN is all the wiser, moving his Stalkers up, targeting that Warp Prism, but he's unable to get it down, but he does have a superior number of Stalkers. If he micros them at all, he could save them from dying to those Zealots. eNtitY does move that Warp Prism in to be able to warp in some more Zealots and take out a pylon there. PalaDiN chrono boosting his gateways, trying to get enough units out to hold this off. Photon overcharge on the Nexus is going to help out with that. So PalaDiN is going to be able to eventually hold this off, that Photon overcharge being critical, taking those Zealots down.
We do see PalaDiN is currently supply blocked, so if eNtitY can get some momentum here, he may be able to do some significant damage.
PalaDiN moves in to take out that Warp Prism. Now it's going to be 5 Stalkers on 5 Stalkers with a Photon overcharge. Should be an easy victory for PalaDiN. I've said that before, but we'll see. Depends on micro, and PalaDiN is easily able to take that out with 3 Stalkers remaining. Warps in 2 more, and eNtitY's going to have to pull back and decide what to do now. Robotics Bay facility is now putting out an observer.
And he is opting to expand. But PalaDiN is not sitting still. He's moving these Stalkers out. He's going to see if he can get some damage in, knowing that he did a lot of damage there. He, too, is choosing to expand.
PalaDiN now seeing all the pressure that eNtitY put on him, taking the opportunity to expand himself, knowing that eNtitY is probably going to be hulled back in his base for a while. And as he comes up here, he'll see that expand and know that that is going to be the case. He does have quite a few Stalkers. eNtitY does not have a Mothership Core. He opted not to make that, so he's going to be severely down in units. If PalaDiN pushed up here, he's going to only meet 2 Stalkers, 1 Zealot. eNtitY's chrono boosting his gateways to get more production.
And eNtitY's going to need to cancel that. It's down to 50, and he does not get the cancel off.
That's 400 minerals you'll never see again.
You will never see those again.
PalaDiN opting to go right to the gateways, doing a little bit of shield damage, then deciding to do some pylons and moving back, and just can't quite make up his mind. Going to try and take out some pylons to supply block his opponent.
And power down, but he does successfully supply block.
Nice bit of micro going on by PalaDiN, although he did take a Stalker almost down to death level of health and left it. So now he is still ahead, just microing around that Zealot, trying not to take any damage from it.
Satisfied with the amount of damage that he's done, he's just going to run back home. He is safely expanded.
PalaDiN now has his natural expansion up. He's not producing any probes out of it. Likely he's taking a deep breath after the adrenaline running through his system of holding off eNtitY's attack and now pushing forward with his own.
You see forward pylon going down. He's regrouping at the base of the natural. eNtitY moving out a little bit, seeing if they're still down there. Does see them, going to run back up. Wants to attempt to put that Nexus down, but realizes he can't. Goes back. I think he misclicked that Zealot, or at least was trying to figure out what composition of army was down there.
A couple of sentries coming out. Large wave of reinforcements coming. He accidentally does Guardian Shield on a sentry that's halfway across the map. That's not going to be very useful for him. PalaDiN is going to come up and try and target the Mothership Core down so he doesn't get enough energy to do a Photon overcharge, even though that was quite a ways off. Sort of counterproductive force fields there.
Pulling the probes, trying to do damage. The sentries do block the ramps, so they are not going anywhere.
Taking out all the probes. GG from eNtitY. That was a pretty fantastic game. I've never seen, I'm not going to say never, but I rarely see a proxy robotics facility to make a warp prism to go into your base. Usually, and that may be a Heart of the Swarmism now that you can't build a pylon on the low ground to warp into the high ground.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a real tricky play, and it was risky, but it could easily catch your opponent off guard. And it didn't pay off for him that time, but I wouldn't be surprised if that tactic has worked for him in the past and will work for him again in the future.
So we are 1-1 in this series now.